Hello YouTube. In this video I want to explain the recently passed $1 billion stimulus in the United States and how that's going to improve unemployment benefits, as well as how to apply for unemployment benefits. I've recently been tasked to help a friend out do their unemployment request, and it was a daunting task. I can see why a lot of people don't get their benefits or just drop by the wayside. And right now, with massive unemployment rates going across the country, I thought this video would help out a lot of people. I made the video, and I just want to make this clear that what I'm talking about in this video is unemployment. It does not include the $1,200 stimulus check. That is a separate thing. If you do get unemployment, you actually are eligible for both the $1,200 stimulus if your income was less than a certain amount, if you're eligible, and the unemployment that I will be explaining in this video as well. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you California, for example, how you would go about applying. I also want to go over who might be eligible for unemployment now that weren't in the past, and some of just the basics of unemployment, how long it lasts, what is your most amount of money you can withdraw or get per week, as well as what are the documents you need in order to file. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the wait periods and why certain things aren't working, so I can solve some of those questions or problems that you might be experiencing right now filing for unemployment. Now, first, I just want to say that this is unprecedented. Everyone will agree with me that what's going on in the world right now is crazy. Look at this chart right here. Even in the great U.S. recessions in the past, the most unemployment we've ever seen in a week's period of time. Look at that, not even 750,000. We now, for ending March 21st, almost 3.3 million uninsurance claims. As you all know, a lot of companies that are non-essential can no longer operate. Therefore, people are losing jobs, and then people aren't stimulating the economy anymore. Oh, I'm not going out to eat. I'm not buying Uber rides right now. So there's a reason for the reduction in workforce. I was recently looking at a statistic that showed that a quarter of American jobs are in the leisurely, entertainment, and service industries. Those are your food service workers, people working for hotels, Airbnb, Uber drivers. And while I'm all for people transitioning and maybe they get a job being an Amazon delivery driver or getting a job at the local USPS, there's just not enough jobs out there right now for how many people need work. And that's where unemployment comes in. Unemployment is supposed to be a motivational thing to still get you up in the morning and help you look for work. Well, unfortunately, you can't look for work right now because those jobs, a quarter of the jobs I just mentioned, are no longer available. So it's not like you could just go type up your resume and go find a job. And that's where we are now. I don't think you should ever take advantage of programs like this. I'm simply here because I know a lot of people right now are in a situation where they're not getting income. Some companies are even doing something called a furlough. And basically, a furlough is, hey, we're going to stop paying you, but we don't want to fire you, and we don't know when. And so that's, to me, really scary for someone, especially if you have parents or you have other financial obligations. So whatever the case you may be in, we have some good news for you. For example, let me talk about just California in general. The maximum you can ever get is $450 a week. And some of you who lost your job, you might have lost a job that was paying you $100,000 a year. So $450 doesn't even come close to maybe covering your mortgage payment or something like that, or even groceries and credit card bills. Fortunately, there are going to be some other programs to help you out with your mortgage and credit card debt, student loan debt, things like that. We're not going to get into that in this video, but my point is you're not getting enough money to cover. Fortunately, in this new $1 billion bill that was recently passed on Friday, just yesterday, the federal government is going to add an additional $600 per week. Now, again, I'm using California as my baseline here. If you go to like North Carolina, for example, you'll notice that it's $100 less per week. So if you're in North Carolina, your maximum benefit now will be the additional $600 could be up to $950 per week if you get accepted into unemployment. Now, here's the problem. Unemployment right now is totally overwhelmed with your claims. I was just reading the coronavirus update here. And they were saying how they're going to hire like people who recently quit as a government employee. They're just trying to get any bodies they can in to, again, handle these millions of uninsured claims. Now, obviously, that's spread out into different states. I'm just using California as an example. But still, you're taking, let's just say for some conservative numbers, they were getting 100,000 claims before, and now they're getting 500,000 claims. That's 5 times the amount of work. So while it would be nice that you now can get in California, once this bill gets put out, they're saying it's going to take about 3 weeks, by the way, minimum. So you'll be getting you can get up to $1,050. Now the kicker for that is it's only going to last 3 months. Now, if this virus is a lot worse than we think, there could be another bill. There could be changes to this, but right now the $600 per increase is just for the first 3 months. Most states offer up to 26 weeks. We can see here in California, maximum weeks of benefits 26. But again, the extra that's for the 450. The extra $600 that you may have heard of recently is only for up to 3 months. So again, we'll have to wait to see what happens. Now, some other really big developments. Traditionally, if you want to file for unemployment and you are self-employed or you are a gig worker, you work for Uber or Lyft, you would not be eligible for unemployment benefits unless you also had a full-time job. You had a job which you were paying into unemployment for. If that's the case, you're totally eligible right now and you should go and apply. But under this new clause, they will allow self-employed people, independent contractors, and gig workers to apply for aid. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. You might be wondering, okay, so I can just go to the EDD website and file my claim, just like somebody who has a full-time job that's been laid off traditionally. And the answer is it's still unclear. What you want to do is follow the coronavirus updates for your local EDD department, depending on what state you're in. You'll notice here that they're saying that they may, so this is the old one. This is saying you may be eligible as self-employed if you've worked a previous job. But under this new bill, you would be able to, even if you haven't worked full-time, you may be eligible to part of that stimulus. And so for those people, what I would do is just check back on this website as much as possible. A friend of mine, what they did was they went ahead and applied for unemployment, knowing that they work for themselves, but they've lost all their contracts, and they're hoping that they'll get it. I have not heard back from them, but my understanding is that this is all so brand new that now the local states have to build a new form for these individual people, the ones that are independent contractors. The other thing is if you were a tipped worker like a server where a lot of your income was not necessarily taxed or was not able to be included in your gross income, you may be eligible now. There was a new clause added to part of the stimulus package as well as if you're disabled, you're in a wheelchair or something like that, and you get a reduced rate, which might put you under the minimum amount of money you need to apply for unemployment benefits. You may now be eligible to get them. So for example, traditionally you had to make $1,300 in the highest earning quarter or $900 in your highest earning quarter. This is going to be changed with the new law for certain circumstances. This will change in the new law with certain circumstances. Another thing to check out is, I'll put a link here, is they do have little calculators so you can actually calculate yourself to see, what you might be eligible for, what kind of money you can expect. As far as what you need to file, here's a good list here: last employment information, last date worked, gross earnings. You also need your driver's license. They don't say that here, but it's going to ask you for your driver's license, date of birth, social security number, those things. Once you have all that information, you just go to your local EDD website. You want to go ahead and I would file online. If you look here, they're saying that online is by far the fastest way to get a claim right now. Go ahead and go to online, click on the UI online, benefit programs online, log in or register for an account. Go ahead and read through all that, and then email, password, make sure you follow these directions. It'll give you a red sign if this doesn't work. Security questions, make sure you remember those, because if you ever need to call in, they may ask you those questions. Go ahead and pick one of these. By the way, you have to actually click it. Now it's done. You go ahead and do your personal caption, say I'm not a robot, answer the security questions, go next. When you're all done there, it's going to send you an automated email. After it sends you an automated email, you'll go ahead and click it, and it will then take you back to this website where you can then go ahead and log in. Once you get that automated email, you can go ahead and log in here. Once you're logged in, go ahead and you can click mobile or online, and we can go ahead and file a claim. Now, here's a couple things to consider. Is one, answer all this information. This is going to take you some time. But you'll notice that this website is totally overloaded right now. Sometimes you'll hit next and it'll just be loading at the top of the screen forever. Unfortunately, it's just overloaded. What I would recommend is, either keep refreshing and going back. But one is take a screenshot of every screen you finish, so if you have to go back, it's really easy to remember what you wrote. And then try doing it at weird hours of the night when maybe there's less people applying, and just keep trying. The website might be down now. In an hour from now, it might be working better. As of yesterday, I am not filing for unemployment. I have not filed for unemployment during this coronavirus. But I actually helped 2 people now get through this whole process who needed help with it. It's extremely daunting. I hear your frustrations. So you go through here, it'll give you warning messages if you forgot something. It won't let you proceed until you do the minimum requirements. And just go ahead and get through it until you get a confirmation. One quick additional help is it gets a little confusing. For example, it says, are you available to work? Or there's another question on the application later that says something about, are you actively looking for work? And the EDD, I could tell you, is looking for a yes on that question. That's because the way unemployment works, as I told you, is it's temporary relief while you search for new work. It's not universal income. It's not meant to just give you money. So they're looking for a yes on that answer. And you might be thinking to yourself, though, some of you that are overthinking it, like, well, no, I'm not looking for work because I'm supposed to be staying home right now and not leaving my house because of the shelter in place. But the idea here is, yes, you will be looking for work, that when the shelter is lifted, you will then go back and start looking for jobs. Whether or not you think you're going to get hired or not is not the question. The question is that you will work on your resume and start applying to work again. They are looking for that, and I understand that question can be confusing, especially during this. Furthermore, later into the application as well, there's an additional information area where there is an option to say that your job was impacted because of COVID-19, the coronavirus, and that's also where you want to go ahead and put that information so they see that the reason you're applying and everything is because of the virus, which will also probably help your case when it comes time to seeing if you're eligible or not. One other thing that changed as well, way before the stimulus package, especially if you're in California, is there used to be a 1-week waiting time from the time that you get accepted into the program from when you actually receive your first bit of money. Speaking of money, you're always better off taking the online direct deposit or debit card route versus getting a paper check. Paper checks will always take longer. And then once you're done and you're approved, it could, remember, I told you, take up to 3 weeks to get approved, but after those 3 weeks, it might even take longer. We're seeing, like I said, when the start of this video, this is unprecedented. So just hang on in there, at least try to apply. Worst thing that can happen is you don't get the money. I'm not condoning anyone to take advantage of these new programs if you don't need them. I myself am not taking it, but I do see why we need it, especially with what's going on right now. Times are crazy. I wish you the best of luck.